have a complicated relationship with Melbourne, and if I'm being honest with myself, I have a complicated relationship with Australia altogether. Melbourne is consistently rated by travel guides as one of the greatest cities in the entire world. The headlines say it's fun, it's trendy, it's got great food, solid entertainment, a vibrant art scene, beautiful architecture, and it's all around just a top-notch city to live in. It's everything a city lover like myself could ever dream of in a travel destination. Right? At the very least, I knew I had to find out. Hi, my name is Josh, and I'm so glad that you're here. Join me for the first stop on my first ever trip to the land down under, Melbourne, Australia. Things didn't start off well for me in Australia, primarily for two main reasons. I landed after a long flight from Malaysia and found my way to my Airbnb. Super cute place, great vibes, except for one thing. It didn't have Wi-Fi. Yeah, I know. That meant that I needed to go somewhere with Wi-Fi whenever I needed to get work done, which was almost every single day. I ended up choosing the Victoria State Library as my daily base to work from, and honestly, altogether, that part wasn't so bad. It's one of the most beautiful libraries I've ever seen in my life, has decent Wi-Fi, and gave me a reason to get out of the house every day, which I appreciated. Fun fact, I actually edited my entire Latvia video right here in this library. Unfortunately, this whole routine became a problem pretty quickly when, after just a couple days in Melbourne, I came down with a terrible virus. Like, pretty bad. The worst I'd had in years. Normally, I work from home, so getting sick isn't a huge issue. But I was suddenly in the one place in the world in which I was being forced to leave my apartment every day, and I felt like a heaping pile of burning trash. Now, ultimately, none of this is Melbourne's fault. In some ways, I was glad that this was happening in a place in which I could easily access medical help if I needed it. I could speak the language. Heck, I could even order myself a Subway sandwich, or I could go see a play, or I could... Wait, hold on a second. This is all starting to sound a bit familiar, right? Finally, about a week later, I decided that I was feeling well enough to explore, and so I set off on a tour of the Great Ocean Road. It was exactly what I needed: fresh air, cute animals, and some beautiful sights. And it really was beautiful. Honestly, seeing the 12 Apostles rock formation along the Great Ocean Road was just one of those pinch-me travel moments. It's gorgeous, the way the light hits it just feels surreal, and the whole thing made me a little emotional. We are so back, baby, out in the world, traveling, exploring, and seeing the sights. If you don't know about the Great Ocean Road, let me fill you in. It's a 243-kilometer stretch of road along the southern coast of Australia. There are beaches, rock formations, cute little beachside towns with restaurants and souvenirs. It has these things called cold rainforests that are a really sort of interesting and unusual habitat for plants and animals. It's a whole thing, and a trip along the Great Ocean Road is an absolute must-do when you're in the Melbourne area. Along the road, we even stopped to see a whole collection of actual wild koalas just hanging out among the eucalyptus, and we saw a whole heap of actual wild kangaroos on this tour. And when I say wild kangaroos, I mean just a whole squad of them hanging out on a golf course. People were literally just playing golf around them. I'm sure if you're Australian, this is normal, but for the rest of us, this was peak humor. It was a great day, and I was feeling so much better. I was really starting to understand the beauty of Australia and its nature, and surely, now I would be ready to fully embrace Melbourne and explore everything it had to offer. Or at least that's what I thought. For the next few days, I did the tourist thing within the city itself. I walked around Melbourne and saw all the most famous sights, which I will now take a few moments to briefly describe for you, given that, at the end of the day, this is still a travel channel. I saw the Queen Victoria Market, which is a huge market with tons of souvenirs and food stalls and attractions. Apparently, it's built on top of a cemetery, so it's probably haunted, which is fun if true. I bought some little trinkets for myself, ate some food, and resisted the urge to purchase a bottle opener in the shape of kangaroo nuts. Because these are everywhere in Australia for some reason. I saw the National Gallery of Victoria, in which the main exhibition is free, which I loved. During my visit, they had this huge sculpture by Kusama right in the middle of the lobby. I'm obsessed with this, and who wouldn't be? I mean, it's like a pumpkin combined with an octopus. It's perfect. I want this in my house. My other favorite piece was this painting by August Friedrich Schenk called Anguish, in which a distraught lamb is in agony and is surrounded by some crows. Dramatic AF, very Game of Thrones. I saw Federation Square and joined in with a protest. I saw the grandeur of St. Paul's Cathedral in all of its glory. history, and I saw the colorful street art that fills the walls along Hoosier Lane. I always appreciate when these streets covered in art exist, and also am kind of curious about the politics of street artists painting over other street artists' art. There's clearly an unspoken hierarchy there. I mean, I'd watch a whole documentary about it. Ultimately, I really had the chance to see a good portion of the city. It's not huge, and with a couple weeks to explore during my free time, I really had the chance to see what it is that makes Melbourne tick. And with every new sight, with every new meal, and every new experience, I waited for that moment. The moment that I had on the Great Ocean Road, and a moment that I've had in so many places and so many cities. That moment when a city finally clicks for me, and I first realize that I have found my place within it. For me, with Melbourne, despite finding so much beauty in the city and connecting with the people and speaking the language, that moment, that click, never came. But I think I know why. When I walk around Melbourne, I get it. I feel like I know Melbourne. I understand Melbourne. In some ways, it's almost like I arrived into Melbourne already connected with it. Melbourne actually reminds me a lot of Chicago. Now, I love Chicago. I think it is a beautiful city with stunning architecture. It's got great food and varied neighborhoods. It has a convenient public transportation system and good museums. There is this sense of character to both cities, and they're really fun just to explore and discover the nuances within. As such, I struggled with this feeling for a while. Logically, there are so many reasons why Melbourne should immediately have become one of my new favorite cities in the world. I can see all these great things about it, and I was enjoying myself. So why wasn't it clicking? And it wasn't even just that it wasn't clicking. If I'm being honest, there was a big part of me that wanted to leave, that wanted to run away from it all. I struggled to figure out what this was about afterwards. Even in other parts of Australia, like Sydney and Brisbane, I didn't have quite the same feeling that I had in Melbourne. So what's going on? Eventually, it hit me. Melbourne is too familiar. By the time I reached Melbourne, I had been traveling full-time for nearly 2 years. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. In many ways, the adrenaline of traveling is like a drug. Truly, your mind moves so quickly in a new country. In a place you've never been, you're required to think on your feet, to adapt. You're required to learn phrases in a new language, or figure out how to move around in a city in a tuk-tuk, or how to haggle with a vendor for the lowest price. It's addicting, and the more you do it, the more you need it. Higher levels of difficulty in traveling become required to get the same hit. For me, visiting Melbourne was a sudden return to familiarity, and that level of comfort, of ease, brought my mind into almost an unexpected state of withdrawal. Simply put, even though I was somewhere I had never been, I felt like I wasn't traveling anymore. I felt at ease. I think that's what I loved about the Great Ocean Road. The marsupials of Australia you won't find in the US. It's something new and different and rare and unusual. It triggered that traveling lever in my head. All of this makes me ask myself, what happens when I've seen everything, been everywhere? What happens when there is no more new for my mind to experience? What happens then? I guess what happens then is I finally have to sit down and face myself, to stop running from whatever version of familiarity is making me uncomfortable. One day, I like to think I'll have figured out how to live a more calm and centered life. And when that day comes, I'll return to Melbourne. I have a feeling that I will see it in a totally different way.